Hey there YouTube, woodlandDOX here, and today I am going to show you how to win with Thegrea without a $50 promo. I know the deck is better, it's fine, it's okay. Not everybody is willing to sell their soul for cardboard. I am, but I sold it for other cardboard, so I can't get the promo. But anyways, we're going to go over a deck profile today. I understand the deck is better with the order. Get your 15k instead of 10, get your 2 cards instead of 1. I love it. I use it in Deer Days all the time. One of the reasons why I started to appreciate this deck more, besides aesthetic. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and get into it. So let's start off. We have our standard starter, our Knight of Integrity Thegrea. Go second, draw a card, nice and easy. I never understand why deck profiles go over these cards. I just, I don't know. But anyways, next is our grade 1. What are you? You are beneath the brilliant light, Thegrea. That's the thing with Ride Lines and me. If they all have like the same name in common, I'm just like, which Thegrea are you? Or which Eva are you? Or, anyways, so this is our check the top, grade 2, call it as rest. If not, put it back. So nice and simple. The deck does focus a lot on grade 2 or lower units. In my build, and I'm sure in a lot of builds, there are only grade 2 or less units besides the Thegreas. So unless you hit a trigger, you're gonna get something on the board for free. You can get a maple out there to intercept with. You can get what? You can get I guess you can get the other maple out there to boost early. Well, she's rested, but it hasn't come up much where I want something other than Arthen for protection from retire decks. I know we're kind of out of a retire meta, but retire still happens. So anyways, get your nice and easy call. Grade 2 is going to be our searcher. This is where the order... Ooh, I almost showed the grade 3 like you don't already know what it is. The grade 2 searcher. This is our way to get the missing piece, if you will. So if you're missing a purple Thegrea, if you're missing a order, if you're missing a maple, whatever it is, you're going to go ahead, you're going to get it. And most of the time, you're going to get it. You know, we all know how, you know, if you play V and you search top 5 or top 7 for a grade 3 and you whiff, sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes it happens in this deck too, but with so many different cards named Thegrea or Maple, especially with the new G1 Maple, you're going to find what you're looking for more often than not. So, then moving on to grade 3, we have the Light Thegrea. She's here and nice and standard first turn, so you're not going to get full effects until you start persona writing, which that's just how Thegrea works, I guess you'd say. So you're not going to get your full effects until you start persona writing, but you still can check the top, what is it, top 5? We're top 5. Yeah, you're top 5. So you check your top 5, you look for something that you want to call out, and then of course once you do ride over the purple Thegrea, over dark Thegrea, I call her purple, it's just more fun than saying dark, I don't know. But once you do ride over it, you get your additional effect of restanding your rear guard. So that's really nice. You'll see the synergy later with the new grade 1 maple. But restanding rear guard, you know, if you want to play a little bit of mind games with your opponent, you know, there you can swing unboosted. They'll be like, oh, easy block, you know, easy guard. And then you attack your Vanguard, hit a trigger or 2. If they blocked your Vanguard, you apply it to your restanding rear guard. If not, you apply it to your Vanguard. So nice and easy bait, I'll call it. I found that people are, you know, obviously more willing to block the stuff that is easier to guard. So maybe you get them to take, you know, they know it's going to restand. You get them to take an easy chip damage, and it works in your favor. I don't know, but more often than not, I do see people guard on that as opposed to letting it go through. So that is it for our ride line. Next, we are going to put this somewhere you can't see because this is a secret. You had your chance. Go back, pause the video. I'm not timestamping anything. All right. So we do run 3 additional copies of our Light Thegrea. Again, gets the full benefit when she rides from Dark Thegrea. We can call 2 units instead of 1, and then we can restand a rear guard. We've already gone over her. No need to talk about her anymore. As wonderful as she may be. Next, we have our Dark Thegrea. So, Dark Thegrea is my favorite Thegrea, okay? It is so much nicer to me to have a restanding Vanguard than it is a restanding rear guard. You know, like I said, you could play a little bit of mind games, get some early guard out, or get early chip damage in. It's up to you, however you do it. But I will say that having your restanding Vanguard is so much better. Because if your opponent is going to be, you know, so committed to guarding on Vanguard attacks, if they're at 4 damage, they don't want to get crit, you can force them twice to overguard, to overcommit, to not risk the crit, and then still apply the triggers elsewhere. So in a deck that is constant Persona Ride, constant pressure, I think having the Restanding Vanguard is better, which is why I choose to run the Light Thegrea in the ride deck, so that I can ride over it with Dark Thegrea, and we can get more power popping off, because it's a poppin' party up in here. Bang Dream fans, anybody? Alright. If you don't like Bang Dream and you're here for Thegrea, good news. There's more deck to go through. I promise. So we're going to go through our grade 2s. Now, let me preface this. I used to, well, I still do, buy a case at a time to do splits with friends. Any SBs you see in this deck profile or any other deck profile was pulled. I don't like to rarity chase, but again, any SPs, such as the lovely Maple you see here. She's not atrocious. This one's lovely. The rest of them, they're atrocious. They're common. They're triple R's. They're just losers. The best part about buying a case to split with friends was the SPs, but I digress. So we have our grade 2 Maple, which everybody knows we have our 2 effects on Maple. We are going to utilize Maple to be called from the drop, so that we have a Maple every turn should we need to use its other skill for its Soul Blast. The grade's equal to the card you want to take from Soul to hand. So you're going to be doing your grade 2 and your grade 1 from your ride line more than likely to get your grade 3 Light Thegrea back, if you don't have one naturally in your hand already, which I find that I do more often than not. I don't have to go searching for it. So if I do need to go searching for it, or in a future turn if I need to go searching for Dark Thegrea, then it's just a constant cycle. That's how Thegrea is meant to work. We're going to be pushing Atrocious Mothgirl Maple into the Soul Blast other cards out, and then she's in there for a grade 2 should I need to do it again. So it's nice, simple recursion cycle. Again, I don't find much need to put it in the Soul. I usually have the pieces I need. You know, if you want to intercept, extra 5k shield, goes to drop, you call it back next turn when you ride another Thegrea. It's perfect. So obviously 4 copies of her. Maple makes Maple makes everything go. Unlike on Pancakes, it makes everything stick and stay. In this deck, it makes everything go. I promise. So moving on to our next grade 2, we have so I'm also a big Pokemon fan, and I keep calling him Arven. Just after Scarlet Violet came out. But we do have our Knight of Protective Spear, Arthen, not Arven. So Arven has 2 skills. We have our skill that gives us 5k when we Persona Ride, which with Thegrea, you know, it's almost guaranteed to Persona Ride. I don't see any need to run the Grades Gradale, the cup. I don't see any need in this deck because it's just Persona Rides no matter what all the time. I guess you could if you want an 8th Persona Ride. I don't. I feel like there's plenty of potential for the deck to do that on its own. And so it gets 5k, and then it is also protects your other units from being chosen by effects. You know, so it shuts down Prison, shuts down, well, Grividale usually drop more than 1 meter, but you get the point. Anything with, you know, retire effects, they're going to have to use more than 1. Because Arthen's going to be out there and say, nope, sorry, you only get me. So, nice protective services, Arthen. He's the bodyguard of Thegrea, right? I'm going to call him the bodyguard of Thegrea. Actually, where do I apply? Anyways, last up in the grade 2s. So I like to have a little bit of fun with my deck builds. They're sort of funky, but take it for what it's worth. You know, there are staples of every single deck, right? Like Maple's a staple here. You know, you would never build a Thegrea deck without Maple. At least I don't think you would if you want to win. But I like to have fun. So in addition, on my grade 2 red line, or not red line, my grade 2 lineup, it's a lot of lines. I have the Divine Sister, and I have to actually get close to read this because it's a lot of letters. Language chat. That's a language chat. Don't know what that means. Anyways, so this lovely young lady, it's based on if you have a grade 3 in your soul or not. So when you have a grade 3 in your soul, you gain, what is it, 3 abilities? Let's count. It's the 5k, it's the boost. Okay, it's just 2. I can't count. It's the 5k and the boost. I thought there was... No, there's nothing about it. It naturally has intercept. Anyways, it doesn't say it can intercept from the back row. I'm thinking of Trace June over in Brankgate. But, so she can't intercept from the back row. That's what I was thinking of. So anyways, she gets 5k. She gets boosted. There's a grade 3 in the soul. Guess what? You're persona riding almost every turn. And, I mean, it's a given, right? And then, in addition to it being a, 15k booster, if you're running dry on Arvin, if you're running dry on Arthens, you run dry on Maples, or it's early turns and you want to get some extra pressure, she's a grade 2. She's 10k pace. She can attack on her own. So I like running that card for the simple fact that it can be a 15k booster, and if your front row gets retired or you just simply don't have it, you had to use it to intercept and guard, then you get another 10k attacker right there. So a little bit of flair. You also do in a deck with this aesthetic. Can't see the motion I was making because the camera's a little too low. I don't need to say anything, do I? Anyways, you have to balance it out, okay? You have to have a none in with your cleavage. Life's all about balances. So that's it for the grade 2s. Next, we have our grade 1s. So again, nobody is playing Thegrea without Maple. I don't think you need 4. I think you need 3. The recursion is there. The self-retire condition is only when it's called from and sorry, no, that's actually not right. The self-retire is when it restands. So yeah, it's there, but again, it's specific to pink Maple. It's recursion. That's what I was trying to get at. Is this recursion is always going to happen unless you have another one. So you can, every single turn after it retires itself, you can call this back behind the applicable Vanguard or rear guard, depending on who's going to restand that turn. So the cost is not too steep, I'd say. So you only need 3. You only really ever need 1 on the field at any given time because you're only restanding 1 column. So try not to crowd your field, I guess. I've made that mistake before. I've crowded my field with this, and then I couldn't call the other one. Or I couldn't call the second one, I'm saying. So be careful with that. Next, we have a little bit more of my own personal taste and style. I have more nuns, believe it or not. More nuns. You gotta balance out the booba with the wholesome, right? So I have Divine Sister Palmier, or however you want to pronounce it. I'm not French. Anyways, Counterblast 1, rearrange the top 3 cards of your deck. So, you know, I'm of the mindset, again, that the purple Thegrea is better. I do believe that having multiple drive checking Vanguard, as opposed to, or sorry, well, because of the restand, having a restanding rear guard is a little bit less beneficial. So you do this, you rearrange the top 3, and let's just say you have, you know, nothing crit, and you plan it that way, and your opponent's like, oh, well, they rearranged their top 3, there's no way this is going to be a crit. You know, they would put the crit first, and then you can hit them with a late crit. If you have multiple triggers, you can put them in whatever order you want. So let's say, you know, your first check would allow you to heal, and your second wouldn't. You know, if it's a crit, put the heal on top. It gives you so many options on how to work with it. So I love this card. Some people like Painkiller Angel instead to get the Maples out of Soul. I see the benefit. I haven't had the problem though. So we'll see how people are receptive to this. I would hope people understand. But again, Painkiller Angel is probably a more popular choice there. Then for the last, the grade 1s, perfect cards. Can't leave home without them, right? So nice and perfectly guarded. Last up for the deck is our trigger lineup. So our triggers, again, any SPs are because I still buy cases, because I know that's going for a pretty penny right now. So we run 4 draws. You know, you only have 1 searcher in the grade 2 from the red line. So I would say draws are highly important here. If you don't have all of the right pieces, if you're able to run the order and you don't see it yet, definitely need the draws. It's only 10k shield, but I think that Thegrea is aggressive enough to where you're not going to be playing the long game and need to defend for turn after turn after turn. If this game goes late with Thegrea, you're already done. So after the draw triggers, I show a little bit of my bias. I personally cannot stand restanding decks. So eventually when I do a prison Seraph Prelate profile, you'll see I have a special tech in there for restanding decks. And in Thegrea, with how many restanding decks are out there nowadays, and this needing to not go long, I run 4 of the heal trigger, which gives you an extra 15k on restand. So if I know that I need to protect myself early and I'm not going to let it get late, I'm going to run this. Even if it does go late for some reason, you're only missing 5k, which is made up for elsewhere. So the grade 2 none, for example, or the grade 1 none. I know the painkiller, if people run painkiller, they usually use it to soul blast out the card, so it's not there for guard. So in my mind, it makes up for it. And with all the restanding decks out there, I think of 5 maybe off the top of my head. I like the extra shield. And even if not, this and a maple is the same as a normal heal. So I do run 4. I'm a little bit paranoid and a little bit genius. I'll let you figure out the ratio. And then to go on to the crits, 3 effect crits, I would do 4, but I don't own 4. So imagine there's a 4th one there right now. Next is for the start deck. Crit triggers. And to round it out, we have the beautiful World Order. Again, perks of buying cases. So that is it. I really enjoy playing the deck. It's so much fun. The power is incredible, especially with the order. If you get the order, I would suggest cutting 2 of the grade 2 nuns, running 2 orders, maybe cutting the 4th grade 1 nun to get a 3rd order in there. 4 orders doesn't seem necessary. You're gonna find it. So, but yeah, that's the deck in 2 nutshells, 2 very large nutshells. And something fun I thought I would do is to wrap up this deck profile. I'm gonna cut here, and we are gonna jump to results. I am fortunate enough to have a upcoming tournament this weekend. I will be playing this exact deck, and we'll report back how it did. See you in the half. Right, welcome back, guys. So part 2, right? I said we were gonna, build the deck just as I described it. We're going to use it in an event. This event was the Peel's Crew tournament. Like 16, 18 entrants, something of the sort. So there was actually a fair distribution of decks. I'll read it off. I have it saved on my phone here. Fair distribution of decks. It wasn't overly jetty. It wasn't overly EVE. It was actually pretty fun. It was a good variety of decks. But so what I figured I'd do is I'd do a little bit of round by round breakdown of how I performed. So round 1 went second. Opponent was playing Lutetia. So Lutetia played into my plan of the restanding Vanguard, or any restanding unit, how I built my heal trigger lineup, preferring that. I know I needed to last till turn 4. Having those heals, if they ended up in my hand on the mulligan or on the initial, I was going to keep it, knowing that I was going into a restanding matchup. That was the plan. But in that matchup, never showed up. That guy right there, he never showed up. Right there. Neither did the other 3 copies. None of them showed up. That one lasted until they had they only had 4 turns. They had 2 grade 3 turns, so that's where it ended. I did lose because my hand did not look like this. My hand looked like this. All I had. I just had Thegreas in my hand. It was really, really bad. And, it wasn't that, I did the deck profile and then 10 minutes later into the tournament and they were stuck together on the shelf. Like, no, I played 6 rounds. For context, the night before I played 6 matches. I went 5-1, and the one was Brant Overtrigger that took me from 2 to 6 because they crit and then hit the OT. So I felt amazing with this deck. So round 1, my restanding strat was not there. My restanding defense strat, I should say, and my hand looked like this. That's all it was. My hand was just literally just Thegrea's. So, anyways, that was round 1. Took an L. Okay, so round 2. Round 2, Jeweled. I lost the dice roll, which I knew the importance of going first with Thegrea, just so that you get to turn 4 ahead of your opponent, whether they're a grade 4 deck or if they're the restanding deck. They can put more pressure on before you can. That's the whole thing. You gotta go aggro with Thegrea, I feel. You gotta be really aggressive with it. So getting to turn 4 is easier if you go first. That's how math works, probably. But there was one card in that game that decided the outcome. Right there. The critical trigger. But not mine. My opponent's. Out of the 4 attacks that they declared with their Vanguard in that game, they hit a crit 3 out of 4 or one turn they hit 2. So technically they hit 4. What would that be? That'd be 2, 4, 6. 4 out of 6 drive checks were criticals. And whether I defended the Vanguard swing or I left it up to a rearguard swing, they were still getting the crit. This was the deciding factor. Sometimes you trigger sacked, right? It happens to everybody. Jewel doesn't have a restand effect, so it wouldn't have mattered if I had the restanding heals on like the first game. I defended early, first turn. I made it OT to pass. They didn't hit it, so that was cool. Thank God they didn't hit the Dark States OT. Otherwise, it would have just been a crit forever. It wouldn't have mattered. But it was just rough. Like getting trigger sacked and then not hitting heals also really hurt me. But I, again, did not survive to turn 4. I'm supposed to go aggro with my deck, and, Jewel brings me down to 1, so I had, some guard, but then, again, if I blocked the Vanguard, they put it to a rear. If I blocked the rear, then everything went to the Vanguard, because I've already spent my, my shield, so, rough loss, but that right there, that one little symbol, that little star, this little, you know what, forget the card, this right here, this little symbol. That's what cost me the game. So, round 2 L. Take it as it is. I don't know. Okay, so round 3. You see this field right here? This is like an ideal Thegrea field, isn't it? You've got both your maples. Even though my image is backwards, I don't care. I did the first half of the video like this. I'm gonna do the second half of the video like this. Deal with it. I'll flip it for the next one. Just not used to doing deck profiles. Anyways, this looks like an ideal Thegrea field, doesn't it? I mean, for me, here's my tech. Here's both maples. Here's an Arthen to protect you. Gets 5 can next turn with the Persona Ride. This is where the game ended, though. One reason. Crit OT. In the Discord server I'm most active in, my little moniker says Dox, the one who OTs. Triggers are normally with me. Sunday they were against me. I had everything ready. I was gonna go ahead and intercept maple, put it on a drop, already have this maple set up. I had another one, which is why I played this one early, because with this one you can't call it from drop if you you can't call this one from drop if this one's already on the field. So I had another one of her in my hand. I was ready to go, and I purple Thegrea ready. I'm like, oh, call an ambulance. But then my opponent's like, but not for me. And crit OT in the same turn. It was Shoujo Doji, so it was Dragon Empire. Again, I lost the dice roll, so I was going second. They persona'd. It was just, I don't get mad when I lose the Liver Trigger. I just laugh. At least I try to. Unless it's like a super back and forth game and then the OT does it. If the OT just does it abruptly, it's whatever, I love playing the game. I like just have fun. So, but yeah, that was round 3. Another L. I don't know what it was compared to my testing. Thegrea not looking so hot. In metaphorically, literally
Are you coming on to me?
I'm not saying it, you are. Alright, round 4. I don't know. Round 4 is like, I don't know, just like, I had the buy. I don't know what you want me to say here. Alright, last round of Swiss, obviously at 0-3. Well, 1-3 with the buy. I don't count it. It looks like it on paper, but I don't count it. So, I'm obviously not making top cut. You know, there was top 8 for the event. You know, folks who lost 2 still made the tops, which for a small enough crowd, you know, that works. I wouldn't have been mad if I went 2 and 3 even. But so my last round was against my personal adversary in terms of deck, and against a new friend in terms of opponent. I was able to play against Aqua Azim, which I was really happy about. Before the tournament started, I joked with Azim. I said, "Hey, you mean the finals deal?" And we both ended up in the play for not last place match. So it was really fun to play a friend for actually the first time. So that was really fun. That kind of lifted my mood from my so far bad record. So it was really fun playing Azim. So Azim, if you see this, you gotta play more. But yeah, so this right here, this backwards flipped image was my board. This is the board. Like, I made it to turn 4. There is a purple brawl on your screen right now. I made it to turn 4, guys. And you know what I did? Oops. I checked the over trigger. Got Azim to 5. I actually got Azim to 4. No guarded to check here. Dry. The 100 mil was over on this side. Or it was the other way around. One of the two. This was my board, but you know, the 100 mil, perfect guarded, stayed at 5, came at me with Flagberg. So I actually won the dice roll, and I had a restanding opponent. So I had my heals. I actually did. I think I dropped 2 in the final turn, but it still wasn't enough. You know, that multi-attacking just, you know, wore me down. Sure, it helped for 2 of them, but then the guard with 3 or more restriction. That's why Flagberg is my nemesis. I have to, you know, at some point you have to think about damage denial, at least I do, so that, you know, they don't get that guard restrict or that draw or anything. But, yeah, it was really unfortunate, because even though I hit OT, I didn't pull it off, because it was just overwhelmed. So, yeah, no real wins. I got a bye. I don't count it. Some people do. I don't. But yeah. So, anyways, 0-4 in actual matches in the tournament, 5-1 in actual in matches in my prep. So I don't know if it just wasn't my day, or I don't know. I don't think I misplayed. At one point, I should have not one game I did play. It was the game that I got crit every single chance, the Jurjul game. I did put this maple down too early so that I couldn't call the second maple, and I didn't have an extra. But it is what it is. So, last thoughts coming up here in a sec.
Sad gamer noises.
So, overall, what do I think? I think that Thegrea is a very, very consistent deck. There is very little chance, especially if you're in the order, which again, I would cut the grade 2 or the grade 1 none down a bit, the grade 2 before the grade 1. But, you know, I think there is definite consistency and there's definite power within this deck. You know, again, my practice versus my actuals had very drastically different results. I'm a little mad at her, but not going to abandon the deck completely. It was fun to enter something with something other than Prison, which is my main deck. Maybe I'll do a profile on that, because my build is kind of funny. But yeah, so it's still very strong, still very consistent. If you have the cards, I'd recommend playing it. The new variation of Maple is great, because it gives you even more numbers. Imagine that 15k Persona ride plus another 5 from the back. That's a 13k booster that restands. Can't argue with that. So I really do think that the grade 1 Nun is spicy tech. Put that in there, because if you get to grade 4, turn 4, I keep saying grade 4. If you get to turn 4 and you have your purple Thegrea and you're able to rearrange your drive checks, you're going to be drive checking all 3 of those cards, assuming you don't see a draw or the OT. And if you do see a draw or the OT, then you just manipulate your cards to where you're going to be drawing the non-trigger or draw off the OT, or drawing the non-trigger off of the draw trigger, because you know what's going to come third, or if that's second, you know, however you choose to arrange it. And then you're going to be digging even deeper into your deck with more possibilities, so you get those non-trigger units out. So I think she's an absolute must-have. Nice little spicy nun. I don't want to think about spicy nuns. So that's the deck, guys. Appreciate you watching through the whole way through if you did. I will be putting up the deck code on the screen here in a second. Wait, I'm not in the big picture. The big picture's over there. Cameras are fun. So the deck code should be right there. But yes, and please admire the deck code name I put, or the deck name itself. I put a lot of thought into it. So appreciate you guys. Let me know what you would do to this deck. Obviously there's some things to change, some preferences, but let me know, and I will work hard to find events to enter, so that when I do these deck logs or these deck profiles, I can maybe report some results, because apparently practice is a lot different than reality. So until next time, I'll see you guys. Bye.